Hi, Barbara. I'm still talking about I Love Lucy and the scene with the chocolates on the assembly line. I didn't finish my first reel, so let me finish it up. What the conclusion was, and I'm reading my little notes here, what we don't look at just piles up and piles up. If you've seen the scene of Lucy and Ethel on the assembly line packing up, wrapping up little chocolates that are coming down the assembly line, and the assembly line goes faster and faster. Before you know it, they're throwing all their issues down here, they're throwing them in their hat, and it's going too fast for them. And I was likening it to when we don't look at our issues when they come up. They get faster and faster, and before you know it, we get spiritual constipation, spiritual congestion. We just have too many things. How many people do you know on spiritual paths, either consciously on spiritual paths or not, but they're very spiritual because they have really good hearts? Those people are spiritual. And at some point, there is a breakdown. It doesn't have to be dramatic. They don't have to end up in a psych ward. It just, they know, I know when I'm having a break, when I'm having a breakdown. I hate to use the word breakdown because it has such a negative connotation with it. And it's not negative. To have a breakdown is to break. Put the brakes on. We're going too fast. So if we don't stop and look at how we're feeling about things, and I'm wearing my cult outfit, so I should mention the cult, is I saw red flags of the attacks on my being and my personality and my functioning as a student by the president. It was over and over and over again. And I wanted to be there so bad to learn that I kept taking each one of his attacks and putting them down my blouse and throwing them in my hat, just doing exactly what Lucy was doing and Ethel were doing. And I didn't handle them. I just didn't handle them for so many reasons. But the point is, I didn't handle them. And it went on and on and on for over 30 years until finally something was put right in my eyesight where I couldn't ignore it. And by now I have a history going. All those chocolates went by and I didn't tend to them. And now they're coming in fast. I'm being maligned, I'm being smeared, I'm being gossiped about. They're trying to, well, not trying, they evicted me for no reason. And by then, of course, I was exhausted because the apartment was a slum. I was essentially homeless, paying rent. So all these chocolate kisses are going by, these little attacks from the president of word here, word there, and nastiness here, and nastiness there. And it was strategic. I see now how it was strategic. And I didn't stop and attend to them for two reasons. I can't really blame myself. I wanted to be studying there. I wanted to know the teachings. I wanted to be a student of the particular spiritual teacher. But the reality was I was under attack by the president. Consecutive attacks over and over and over again. And they were pretty much, no, I can't say they were invisible. People saw them. People witnessed them. I was in a room sometimes with hundreds of people and it was witnessed. So getting back to the chocolates is at some point I had a breakdown, and I didn't really have I had the breakdown after. When I realized what was going on, I just had to stop. And what stopped me was having no place to live. I was so, discombobulated about realizing what had been going on in that church with other people and with myself that I was so taken aback I couldn't process it. I didn't have what it took to process the fact that these people are spouting these spiritual highfalutin concepts while behind the scenes they're abusing people. I couldn't reconcile that in my head. And I would say I was in cognitive dissonance for about 8 years. I just couldn't grapple with it. And that's how important my path was to me. That's the biggest thing that I'm coming to, is how important it was to me. And they knew how important my spiritual path was to me. So important that they weaponized it to bring me under submission and under their control, so I would stay with them with my gifts instead of talking to you right now without them. That is what they do. They bring people under their, I want to say jurisdiction. They bring people under their jurisdiction. They siphon their energy. They harness their light, and they take their creativity and then they put it out daily on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's not coming from them, people. It's coming from the congregants. They are the ones, they are generating the energy to keep this church alive. I'm straying from the subject with the chocolates, but I am not the only person in this church who has been dealing with the chocolates after chocolates after chocolates, stuffing them and stuffing them and stuffing them, and not saying anything. Why? Because if you say anything, you're going to be rejected like I was. You'll be maligned like I was. And it's just relentless. It's just relentless. And they take the credit, they being the patriarchal at the top, they take the credit for everything. You know, I was thinking about it. My spiritual teacher, he takes sharings with people, but he never teaches. I realized that he never teaches. He just quotes, does blessings, and then takes sharing. I've never heard him once teach a subject like I'm doing with you right now. Never. How anyone, today in 2026, there are enough spiritual teachings out there, enough spiritual books, enough spiritual content for anyone to pretend that they are a spiritual teacher. What we have to discern is, okay, the energy finally came in because I've been laughing too long. What we have to discern is not the messenger. Like, don't look at me as the messenger. Listen to what I have to say, check it out. But more than that, we must discern who God is really using. Who is God really using? Who is and has the anointing, the permission, the authority, the gift that's directly given from God? That voice, if you can discern whose voice is really coming from on high, from in here, who is the messenger, who is really bringing the message, and who is just copying other podcasters and copying other teachers. It is very easy today. I'm repeating myself. 2026, there are so many teachings out there. That's the good news. There are so many teachers out there. That is the good news. There are so many more people searching. That's the good news. The challenge is, and this happens as you go higher and higher and higher, those of you who are rising to the occasion, and a lot of people now are rising who've been studying for years, you know that not everyone is anointed. Not everyone has the vibration of transmitting to your consciousness what Spirit is wanting to transmit. It is beyond the word level. There is something beyond my words that I don't even know that is coming through to you, to edify you, to build you, to lift you up. I recognize it because there are times when I know I'm not in the zone, and when I'm not, I'll often turn this off and redo it and go into my center and reevaluate, God, is this what you want me to say, or is this Barbara saying it? And you know, the answer usually comes in is, I want you to say this, but I want you to use your life experience. Don't preach. And that is why I'm doing the podcast, because I had an incident that just taught me so much about spiritual paths, and fakes and phonies. It was predicted at this time that there would be many false prophets. And unfortunately, there are many churches, temples, whatever, they so adorn themselves with buildings and beautiful podcasts, meticulous podcasts, with all the bells and whistles. And it's not the real deal. But only those who are discerning can see through the fluff. Can see through the fluff. In fact, more than that, not seeing through the fluff, but feel your way through the fluff. Like, okay, when I'm talking right now, feel your way past my words. Feel your way past my appearance. Feel your way past my my stage here, which is just my little heart. Feel your way behind me. And what is Barbara about? Is she sincere? Is she a phony? Is she a fake? Is she copying people? Is she saying something that's authentic? Is she real? Go past my appearance. Go past my voice. Go past what I'm saying. And check me out. Check me out. And just scroll on. If you think I'm fake or phony, or, it could be that I'm not, but you may not be ready for me. I mean, that's always the possibility. I'm not attached to anyone watching my podcasts. I do have an intention to share my story, to share what I fucked up on. I was going to say flood, but what I fucked up on. And to share with you what I would have done differently had I known. So as a teacher of second grade, I feel like my role as a teacher is to give you shortcuts, to save you time, to save you pain. It's like you're the next generation. Well, most of my audience is 80 and above. but if I ever get to the next generation, I want you to stand on my shoulders. As I disappear and I go to the next wherever I'm going when I die, I want you to be standing on the rock that I've created in my life. And then you stand on top of me. You take what I have, take everything I have, and you add to it. And then the next person stands on that person's shoulders. So I've learned, I have so changed the topic here from Lucy. I have learned that people are cheap. People who have a lack consciousness will not share their keys with you. They will not share their pearls with you because they are afraid you will surpass them. There are people right now who despise me and hate me because I am not the same person I was 15 years ago. And they're trying to figure out what happened to me in 15 years. They're still now where they were 15 years ago. And I've moved way beyond that. And instead of celebrating me and supporting me, and, bravo for you, Barbara, for getting through all that shit they threw at you. No, they're jealous. I did the work. I earned this podcast. I earned the anointing. I earned whatever it took for me to get on this podcast. I'm sharing that with you. I'm really changing subjects, is beware who is in your life. I have shed everybody. I'm just in pause mode. I am just waiting and seeking my new tribe. And I see this as my last tribe because I'm 73. And this is kind of, for me, my last quarter being a 3D human. You know, I always wanted to live forever, but I don't anymore. So I'm on my last quarter, let's say like 75 to 100. And this is the time when a woman brings her wisdom down from the mountaintop. There's a name for it, the crone. This is the crone time for me, when I bring down my wisdom and pass it on to the next generation. There are people who have learned a lot in their craft and do not feel a calling to pass it on. I don't understand that. Why would you not pass on your craft to someone in the next generation? It's kind of like shoemakers. I don't know, are there any shoemakers around? When I grew up, there was a shoemaker on every corner, cleaning them, putting the new heels on them. I remember they went from machine to machine to machine to machine for each action. I don't know. I know of one shoemaker in Beverly Hills, and you can't even watch his factory. He just comes out, takes the shoes, and goes in the back. Are people training people to be shoemakers? We need these things. Are you passing on your pearls that you learned? If you're in your 70s, if you're in your 60s, are you passing on the gems that you were blessed with to other people? Or are you just sitting home hoarding all your gifts for yourself? And then you drop dead one day, and what happens? Nothing. You contributed nothing. So going back to Lucy, I could change the whole subject now, is as those chocolates are going by and they get faster and faster and faster, and you're being betrayed, and you're losing, and you're grieving, and you're angry, and you're frustrated. And if you don't stop and just look at it and use your tools to process it, and I won't go into tools now, but I've given you many. There's plenty of tools out there. But if you just keep going and going and going, you will have a breakdown. You will break down. You will get depressed. You will depress yourself deliberately to just stop those chocolates from going on. Depression, all it means is you are depressed. You have pushed yourself down. And usually it's because it's time to stop. It's time to rest and look at those issues. For someone who has taken every class and gone I had no idea how much I've taken. I've been looking at the money that I have spent on classes. It took, I don't know what the word is. I had to get bulldozed by my church. Bulldozed into looking at what happened. And I told you I was in cognitive dissonance for 8 years, just trying to survive homelessness. That was like my last home. Something happened to me emotionally about home when they threw me out of that little tiny studio for no reason other than the president was after my ass for 30 years, and he used that as an excuse to finally disempower me. I have to do a reel on this. I have to do a reel on what happened. So I guess I'm doing a third reel on my cult. I'll end this. Don't let those chocolates speed up. Stop or quit and get out. Okay, bye.